Hello all, and welcome to a very late start vlog for NaNowrimo. It is currently November 14th. We're almost at the exact halfway point of NaNowrimo. And truthfully, I haven't vlogged so far because I've been struggling. And you may be like, oh, are you struggling mentally? Are you struggling like to write? Are the words not flowing? No, I just have no idea. I'm just tired and I have been unable to focus pretty much. I have been really preoccupied with a lot of like the everything I need to do in a day type of stuff. And it's really just the day-to-day stuff that is bogging me down. As you may know, if you've been watching my channel, I've been doing physical therapy, and I think whether or not they recommend me anymore, I'm pretty sure I'm just ending it this week. I technically have a soft end date, which would be tomorrow, the halfway point of NaNo, but I think I'm just done. It's great and it's been helpful, but at this point, they're not adding anything new that's really life-changing that I won't be able to get in a yoga class that I can do on my own schedule, and that I also am paying a lot less for. Because granted, I could probably be paying a lot more for physical therapy. It's still taking a bit of money out of my account every week to have 2 sessions a week. So I'm just kind of over that. And I think that's really what's getting me hung up, because most days I can't just sit home after work and relax. Like, I have to pretty much like run home, change. Sometimes I'm scarfing down food because I didn't eat enough during the day, and then I'm running out the door of physical therapy, and then I'm coming home and we're eating dinner, and then like by that point it's like 7:30, and not that I can't write every night, but I've been exhausted. So that's a long-winded explanation just to say that I've been not super faithful to NaNowrimo. I've written about 6,000 words, so by tomorrow I should be at 25,000. So 6,000 is quite off from that. But I am doing a write-a-thon this weekend, and I'm hopeful that I will pick back up. You know, I easily think I could get 10 to 15,000 words over the course of the weekend if I'm concentrating and writing. I think that I set out in my wrap-up video that if I hit 35,000 words, I'm on Brandon Sanderson's level, and that's good enough for me. And I easily still think if I buckle down and I end my physical therapy and I have a little bit more time to breathe, I will be able to actually concentrate on the writing itself. Because when I get home, I've been pretty much just throwing an audiobook in and going. My brain cannot concentrate on anything else. So I'm feeling okay overall. Like I said, I'm not like mentally like super burned out or anything like that. It's just, I just haven't been able to focus. And then last weekend, for instance, I played video games all day on Saturday, which I don't actually hate. I had a really good day with doing that, but not productive. And then Sunday, as you saw in some of my clips, I spent the day in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and I saw Neil Gaiman speak, and that was such a cool event. He is definitely a pioneer, I would say, in the writing industry at this point. Like, he's had a very long career, even longer than I actually knew, and there are things like that he's written that I had no idea. Like the book that was like Harry Potter before Harry Potter, like the books of magic, I think they're called. I had no idea that was a thing, that I learned something new. So also that he had like, I kind of knew, but I knew more now that he started his career in journalism, which was like the non-creative journalism, like just for journals. And basically, you know, he was pretty open to say that like your journey could not mimic his today because of the internet, but that he pretty much literally faked it until he made it. He just started, you know, he was putting out pieces and he was putting out novels and nothing was getting picked up. So then he basically started calling up companies in this like book that was like, oh, here's like all the people in the magazines and whatever, and just lying, straight up lying to say that he wrote for all of these people. And at that time in the 80s, they took him at face value, and that got him a career. So I've never seen a more literal sense of fake it until you make it, but that was slightly inspiring to me. So, you know, we got to all start somewhere. And he also just talked and like shared a lot of like stories from his personal life, as well as like written stories and things he hasn't shared. Like, he wrote a poem about Batman, and it was quite good, but I wasn't expecting it. He also shared a story about Harvey Weinstein, which again, was not expecting it, but it was in the context of Princess Mononoke. And it's a very fascinating story, and also like a good like F you to Harvey Weinstein, which was appreciated. So overall, it was a very good event. He did answer. So I had 2 questions, but I didn't think of the second question until I was already in the event, and you had to pre-ask your questions, which was a bummer because I really, afterwards, I wanted to ask him like who are his current favorite authors writing today. And that was the question that I didn't get to ask because I had asked the other question already. And that question was if he had any plans to publish in any other genres. And he pretty much gave me a non-answer by saying that he writes fantasy, which is under fiction, and everything he's ever going to write is therefore fiction because everything is made up. And that is not what I meant. And I feel like he knows that, but I will say, and I do really respect Neil Gaiman, it was a bit of a pretentious answer. So you take what you could get. He answered my question, which was cool, but definitely was not what I was expecting. I was more expecting to see if he was gonna like, are you writing a Western at any point? A comedy? Anything else than what he currently writes in the realm of fantasy. So anyway, that was my day. So it's now Tuesday. As we know, I don't know if you guys actually know, Tuesdays are pretty much my cleaning days. I don't have to go to work until 10 a.m. So I wake up, I drink my coffee, and then I clean because that's the only time that I seem to have to be able to clean because Greg is also working. So he's not here to disrupt me. Or he does work from home, but he's not around. He's actually working to not disturb me. So that is typically what I do every Tuesday anymore. And I usually listen to an audiobook, and I got through a good chunk of my audiobook. I think it was a 10-hour audiobook. I think I'm already 40% through it. It's The House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. It's very fascinating. I don't know if I should be like consuming vampire material as I'm writing a vampire story, but it is very, very different. This is like a fantasy world, like a parallel to real life. And mine is strictly contemporary fantasy. So it definitely has its differences. The main character is, living in squalor. I believe she's biracial, and she's kind of like a pariah because she's poor and biracial, and she ends up taking an opportunity to become a blood maid, which is for these 4 powerful houses. These people drink their blood in order to survive. So she signs up, and I just got to the house, and this main character is learning the ways of the house right now. And there's obviously something sinister happening because there's these undercurrents of like little things that's being planted, and it's really good. So anywho, I am almost at the end of my cleaning period. I'm obviously ready for work, and I do have to get to work. So I have to go pack my lunch, and then I'm pretty much leaving. So I just wanted to pop in here to actually chat and just vocalize what's going on. I have no idea if this is gonna be split up into different parts. Like, I don't know where we're going from here, but I do plan on writing. Today, actually, from 10 to 1, I have nobody. Whatever is happening in the world, nobody wants to come see me on a Tuesday, which is baffling to me. My Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays are always book solid anymore. And my Mondays and Tuesdays, nobody wants to come see me. I think that's going to change because I'm going to have to force people to come see me on those days because I don't have other availability. But for now, I have plenty of time to write, and I do fully intend to take advantage of that because I am up on my notes. I had 2 cancellations yesterday, and all my notes got done on time, and I have nothing to do technically for work. So we're taking full advantage and getting some words in. And I anticipate, depending on how much I'm actually writing, I could probably get up to 3,000 words today because I know that when I've been actually writing, since this is all plotted out, I've been banging them out. I have another thing I want to share eventually about my whole plotting beforehand and how it could be a potential downfall for me, but I'm going to save it for later. So without further ado, I'm going to do one quick opening of a package, and then I'm going to go to work. So I have here my dear, dear friend, Diane Marie, her poetry collection, and I wanted to open it with you guys and share because I'm so proud of her. She hid this from us for like an entire year or more, and then suddenly it was like, okay, here it is, it's coming out, and it was like 2 weeks in advance. So I love her, and I'm so happy for her, and let's open this together. Look how pretty it is. She's very tiny. She's a poetry book, But honestly, this is gorgeous. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. So I did buy the ebook because of some issues with the initial pre-order for the physical copy. And I knew I wanted a physical copy no matter what. So when I found out that you could get physical copies again, I needed it because I feel like some of these like pictures and things just look so much better. So I did start this on the ebook, but I am probably going to continue and finish with this. But this is so cute, Diane. Ugh. And honestly, if you guys have not been around for a bit, I am also toying with the idea of self-publishing a poetry collection or doing it through an indie press if they accept it. And I need to get ideas for, you know, cover designs. And I'm so happy that she has labeled who her cover designer is because I'm obsessed. This is beautiful. But okay, I'm rambling and I need to go, but I'm so happy to have this in my hand. It just looks so nice. And then it's gonna go on my little poetry shelf, which I actually only have like, I think one poetry collection actually there right now because a lot of my poetry I have either borrowed from the library or bought ebooks. So I need a couple more physical copies. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Hello friends, it's me again, and it is Thursday, November 16th. And I've written a little bit. So last time I checked in, it was Tuesday, and I was gonna write at work, and I did. I think I wrote like 2,000 words about, give or take. I think it was a little bit less, but about 2,000 words, and it was a pretty good writing day. And then my day was pretty long, and I didn't get home till like 6:15. And then I didn't write anymore. And then on Wednesday, I didn't write at all because I decided that I didn't want to write, to be honest. I just had like a longish work day. I had all my clients show up and I was just really in the mood to just game for a little bit. So I had dinner with my husband, I gamed, and then I cleaned up and went to bed. And then today, I also wrote a little bit at work. I got about 530 words, I believe. I did feel a little bit unfocused for the writing. I was making some phone calls. I had some people I had to get in touch with, and then I had my sessions. And I had 5 people scheduled and 2 canceled. And I had 3 sessions. And then I just chatted with other people like in my office too. So I didn't get too much writing done, obviously, but I still got 500 words. So I'm gonna call that a win. And today, right now, I have a goal. I saw that Inimitable Books will be doing some writing sprints. So I'm gonna do a cleaning sprint where I'm gonna hopefully put away my laundry, finish up the dishes, and take my dogs outside. And then when I'm done with that, I'm gonna write until my husband gets home and or I have to make dinner. I'm not sure which. I may be the one making dinner tonight, which is fine. So I am gonna listen to my audiobook when I'm not writing because I'm almost done with The House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. And it's very good. I read The Year of the Witching just last month and I was waiting for this audiobook for months to come in and finally I got it and I'm almost done with it. I think I've listened in like 3 days essentially. I have about an hour left. So I think with my cleaning and dinner prep, I'll finish that book and then I can focus on writing tonight because I would like to get my current chapter, which is chapter 5, done. And I also want to talk a little bit more about my book in this vlog before I wrap it up because I don't know where this vlog is gonna go and how it's so like unhinged, I feel like. But I would like to talk a little bit more about my book, and I also want to talk about my plotting this book out for the first book fully and how that's impacting me in my writing. So we'll chat, but I think we need to do some cleanup and stuff first. So we'll be productive and then we'll talk later. So it is about 5:30 and it's been about an hour and a half since I last checked in. And I took my dogs out, I did the dishes, and I put the laundry in the dryer. It's probably done, to be honest, but I decided that I wanted to get a little bit of writing in before dinner. I have gotten in about 500 words more, so I'm about 1,000 for the day, which is great. And if all goes well, I'll also be writing some more words later tonight. So I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about my book and the outlining process that it's been for me and maybe just end the vlog here Not so much of a vlog, I would say, but yeah, I just have some thoughts. So for this book, I really haven't introduced it very much because it's been about 2 years since I planned to write this book. I actually outlined the whole thing in 2021 and I was very excited. I have a whole video, I will leave it linked up above. It was a good plotting session for me. It took me a few hours, but like I kind of knew where I wanted to go with it because I had been marinating on the idea for several years before that. So it takes me a while for my ideas to really come together, and I'll kind of play around with them, write some things down, move on. So when I plotted this, I was really excited. But 2021 was when I went back to grad school and I was taking 3 classes in the fall semester. So I didn't have a ton of time to write. And I also, because it was a lot of rudimentary counseling classes that I technically, knew, but I didn't have the actual classes, I still needed to do all the work. Like it wasn't like they gave me a pass because I've already been in the field. So I ended up not writing the vampire novel, even though I really thought I was going to. In 2021, I just kind of skipped NaNo, I believe. It was fine, and I don't regret all the work that I anticipated doing, but I thought I was going to get to this vampire novel a long time ago. So when it came to this year, I was like, well, I already have it plotted. And I think that's where my somewhat of a downfall has been, because the problem with this book is I know where it's going to go. There's some discovery writing. Like I don't know maybe every single scene that I'm going to write, but I know the general skeleton of this book in way more depth than I have ever known any novel. And I think that's where it kind of works against me sometimes, because I truthfully in my head can go, if I want to, I can write a chapter a day. And I know I can because I know the novel. I know what's going to happen in it. So because I know I can write it, some days I'm just like, I'm not going to. I can write it tomorrow. And it's a weird place to be in because I probably could easily bang this book out in a month if I had the time and availability and the emotional bandwidth. But not all of those things are aligning. So some nights when I'm like, I just want to play video games, I just let myself play video games and think about what else I can do later down the road because I know where the story's going. So I'm trying not to think about that as much. Like I'm trying not to tell myself like I can do it tomorrow. I'm just gonna end up putting this book off longer and longer. But as of now, I'm around the 9,000 mark. I thought I was at 9,000 actually this morning and I was only at 8,000, so I miscounted. But I'm about a couple words shy of 9,000 now. So that's okay. And I kind of said in my video from the wrap up in October that if I hit 35,000, I'm going to be okay, because that's about half of my book and I can then finish the novel within 2 months, because I would hopefully be able to add another 35,000 in December. And I'll still have a new book written by the end of the year. And I'm okay with that if that's what happens. But I'm going to keep writing, and I'm in a write-a-thon this weekend. So I'm going to try to know that like if I know where the story's going, then I can sit down and write it and I'll get this story out, instead of saying I know where the story's going so I can put it off another day because I know where it's going. Does that make sense to anybody else but me? I feel like my brain likes to trick itself, where it's like you do something good for yourself to say we're having this organized and we're having this all plotted out, and then it goes whoop, nope, that's not what we're doing. We're taking a detour. We'll get there maybe eventually. So maybe that's just the ADHD. I don't know. But yeah, so that's where the plotting issue I keep talking about is. But overall, I really do like this book and I'm really excited to write it. So the premise is that it's kind of, well, I was pitching it to a friend, basically like, I have a love-hate relationship with Twilight. I did like the books when I read them at like 14, 15, 16, whenever I was. But I also recognize all the flaws in Twilight and how a lot of things Edward did were not appropriate or healthy in the context of a relationship, and how he kind of took advantage of Bella's innocence and her need for attention from somebody, because she, in Bella's world, if I'm looking at it as a therapist, her dad had been absent most of her life and her mom was preoccupied with her new boyfriend. So she didn't get that love and affection that she needed. So when she found Edward, boom, now we have this person who's giving her all this attention, whether it's healthy or not. And as I'm an adult now and looking at that dynamic, I'm like, wow, that's so unhealthy. And I kind of wanted to take that and actually take that dynamic of an unhealthy relationship with vampires and make a novel of it. So my novel is not young adult, it is adult. And the main character is 22, so she still has like a little bit of that youth and innocence, but has also been hardened by her life. She has not been dealt a good hand. She was in the foster care system often. Her mother is an addict, and unfortunately, she also ended up falling into that pattern based on her surroundings and looking for an escape. You know, especially when we're younger, we try to do things that we think is going to connect us with our parents, and that's kind of just what Casey tried. You know, love-hate relationship with her mom. I love you, but you also ruined my life and you didn't take care of me. So now she's an adult, the only one really working, and still struggling, not just with her own addiction, but with her mom and her addiction and all the negative stuff that happens. And when she is going to seek a drug deal, she ends up getting into a situation with a vampire who does bite her. And because of that, she is, in the beginning of the story, which is where I'm writing now, she's struggling with, was he a real vampire? Was I on drugs and hallucinating? Was he just a crazy person, you know, on drugs and bit me? And I now have an infection because of a human bite. Like, she just doesn't know what's going on. But in reality, like, it was a real vampire and it is poisoning her. So she is kind of unsure what to do. And as we're going to find out in the next chapter, she did have technically, the reason she didn't die completely or wasn't drained completely of blood is because another vampire stepped in, and that vampire is going to come back and strike up this relationship with her. And, you know, then we're going to explore whether it's healthy or not. So I overall really like the premise, and I'm hoping that, you know, my writing is good enough at this point where I can tell it effectively. I like where I'm going. I like what I'm writing. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. It's a first draft, but I do feel like having the structure and the outline that I created is going to make this better than if I was going into it blind. I'm writing a story about vampires looking at a lens of addiction and possession and unhealthy relationships. And we're here for the ride. Yeah, I'm at 9,000 words, and I'm hoping that it's going to be done and by the end of the year. I think it can be if I stop hindering myself. And I'm excited to see this novel grow. Right now, really, like, the words are flowing. Truthfully, like, I am just my biggest hindrance. Like, if I don't sit down and write, I don't get the words. And it's not, like, I can't blame anything else. Except sometimes my mental bandwidth. Like I said, I've had a lot of shitty things going on. But I am done with physical therapy now. I just graduated this week, which means that the rest of the month I'm going to have a lot more time because I'm not going to have to be like running home, changing, like doing a couple things, running out, going to get dinner. Like, I'll be home now. Like, I pretty much lose almost 2 hours of time every night due to physical therapy because of the running around and getting ready. So I won't have that. And then next week is Thanksgiving in the United States. So I will have Thursday to write and pretty much all day Friday, unless for some reason my husband decides he wants to get into the chaos of Black Friday shopping, and I'm hoping he doesn't. I just want to write. I already scheduled a stream. I'm determined to write on Black Friday. So yeah, and I may do a pop-up stream here or there. Also, I'm planning on doing a couple sprints in my writing group. So if you are interested in joining, I have my writing group linked down below on Discord. And yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more rejuvenated now that I have a little bit less to focus on with PT, and some of the other strains are kind of lifting a little bit, and I'm hopeful that things will keep just improving step by step so that way I can power through this. But yeah, so that's where we're at. Okay, so I think even though I really only filmed like 3 days and it was barely a full 3 days, I'm gonna go. I'm currently watching the Inimitable Book stream, and the sprint just ended, so I'm gonna go check in with everybody, and I will probably vlog again this month. So with that said, my friends, let me know how NaNo is going for you guys, and if you are getting your word counts done, if you are kind of behind like me but taking it in stride, or if you're struggling, and let me know, you know, why. If there's anything we could do to help as a community, let us know. And with that, I will probably see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.